This is welcoming you, including our global audience, to this special edition of our online town hall meeting of like minds, brought to you by The Forum. You can join the conversation on the links showing on your screen. Or better still, if you're on Facebook, please follow us on www.facebook.com/The Nigerian News. My name is Lawrence Aldu. The program continues after this short break. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the Forum's online town hall meeting. For the past 1 decade, Nigeria has been faced with a crisis it never envisaged would befall it after the civil war, the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast of Nigeria, militancy in the Niger Delta, insurrections from the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and of course pockets of violent crimes in the northern and central states. Why have all these crises taken this turn of events? What were the mistakes of the past administration, and what can we do to end these multifaceted security challenges in Nigeria? I'm being joined on the program today via Zoom by some renowned security experts and scholars who have been working on this subject matter for quite a while. All the way from Nairobi, Kenya, I have a retired major of the United States Marine Corps, Andrew Franklin. Andrew Franklin, welcome to the Forum. Yes, and I also have all the way from the University of Ilorin, Associate Professor Mahfouz Adedimeji. Professor Mahfouz Adedimeji, welcome to the Forum. Again from Nairobi, Kenya, is another security expert who has also worked very hard and has an extensive knowledge of the crisis in Nigeria. I'm talking of no other person than Daniel Funard. Daniel Funard, please welcome. And last but not the least, even though some other participants will be joining us in the shortest possible time, I have Dr. Abubakar Mohammed from Maiduguri, Borno State. Welcome, Dr. Abubakar. Without wasting further time, I would like to start with Associate Professor Mahfouz Adedimeji. I understand you have a paper titled The Imperatives of Revamping Nigerian Security, the Nigerian Security Sector. Professor Adedimeji, if you are there, please, can we have your intro, sir?
For the short introduction, my paper is the Imperatives of Revamping the Nigerian Security Sector, and I'm going to run through it briefly. That it is a common knowledge that Nigeria today is facing far-reaching and devastating consequences of insecurity. Apart from the ferocious Boko Haram terrorism and counter-terrorism operations in parts of the Northeast, which are stretching the capacity of the military and security forces, many roads in Nigeria today are not safe and secure. The United Nations, as well as Nigerians, whose lives continue to be in danger, was utterly shocked and horrified. That was the statement of the United Nations just last week by the killing of 5 aid workers who were abducted on the main route connecting Mongono with Maiduguri on July 23. Oh, that's just earlier in last Sunday, in one of the brutal campaigns of killings and abductions. Barely a month before then, that was in June, there was a massive attack on Oduma Kolomaye village in Gubi area of the same Borno state, in which at least 81 people died in an overnight terrorist attack. According to a member of the local defense force, Rabiu Isa, the terrorists came on motorcycles and vehicles and killed many people at will in an attack that lasted more than 2 hours. In all, we counted 69 corpses, but the death toll may be higher because of the fact that some people are still missing. So the state of insecurity has reached such a very high proportion that even military and security personnel now issue travel advisory to their members. After the unfortunate ambush of one Captain Abubakar and 2 other captains on July 6 on Benin Obajana Okene Lokoja Abaji Highway, and the killing of a daughter of a rear admiral, as well as the seaman who was a driver along the same route on July 9, military personnel in their circles also started to take extra precautions, including disguising as civilians in order not to make themselves targets of attack. Apart from the emasculation of the entire northeastern region, other parts of Nigeria are currently facing acute security challenges. The perennial farmer-herder conflict in the Middle Belt is generating bloody ripples and reprisal attacks, bandits, and cattle rustlers. Also, wage their relentless, vicious campaigns of violence. Kidnappers, human traffickers, armed robbers, rapists, and all manner of criminals are waging vicious war against Nigerian citizens. The situation is tense, just as people face serious economic challenges, which are further exacerbated by the coronavirus pandemic and its accompanying restrictions and disruption of everyday economic and social lifestyle of our people. The major concern of many Nigerians today is insecurity, one of the cardinal electoral promises of President Muhammadu Buhari in the 2015 presidential elections. Now, by the time we look at the picture of insecurity in Nigeria, we realize that it has causative factors which make the challenges to be severe. According to Usman and Matthew, 2014, insecurity in Nigeria is caused by a myriad of factors, including internal security disorder, poor system of governance, and the concentration of political power in the center, weak judicial system, injustice, nepotism, and the culture of impunity, bribery and corruption, state of origin stroke indigenous syndrome, and the quota system, wastage of resources, religious fanaticism, political praise singing, as well as unemployment. And they wrote a paper on security challenges in Nigerian and national transformation in the International Journal of Managerial Studies and Research. Now, no one is having any doubt that our security system and apparatus are overwhelmed by the security challenges to the extent that the security sector itself has become a problem that many people have to deal with. The failings of the Nigerian security system manifest today in what page 2019 identifies as strategic and operational mistakes, gross human rights violations, endemic corruption, including widespread procurement fraud, and racketeering by deployed soldiers and police. That's page 2019 in the paper, Nigeria Struggles with Security Sector Reform. As a result of insecurity and its related problems, Nigerians these days embark on perilous journeys across the hostile Sahara Desert. And many young girls are trafficked through Chad and Sudan to some far European countries, with a number of them reduced to sex slaves in Libya, while some of them who manage to get to Italy trade in the flesh, apart from those that die while trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea. At home, we have many young Nigerian men and women living a life of drug dependency, mixing all kinds of substances, sniffing, drinking, eating and dejecting just to feel high, quote unquote, including students of our tertiary institutions. This is the scenario that we are facing. How then do we address this perennial security problem? As there is a symbiotic relationship among peace, security, and development, it is imperative that Nigeria frontally addresses the security sector in the country. In other words, peace is a condition for development to take place, and development itself is constrained by the lack of security. This is because where there is security, peace and development follow automatically. And when peace is lacking, peace, security, and development are also missing. This is according to Understanding Peace, Security, and Development, a 2017 article that I wrote. This is why security is crucial, since without it, nothing meaningful can be achieved. The national security interest of Nigeria, according to the National Security Strategy 2014, include 8 items. I've listed the 8 items here: the preservation of its sovereignty, the country's stability, the preservation. I think we are going to have the full security interest of Nigeria in my paper, because I was part of this that validated the security strategy at Transcorp Hilton Hotel on May 30, 2019. I was among those who validated that particular draft security strategy. Given that Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa, there is nothing stopping us from having the best military power and the best police to start with. However, according to the Global Firepower, an institution that ranks the military in various countries based on country population, Nigeria was rated to be the 4th best country in military power 2 years ago. In the Global Firepower report of 2020, Nigeria has moved to number 5 on the list, with the most powerful military forces in Africa, listed as Egypt, number 1, Algeria, number 2, Ethiopia, number 3, South Africa, number 4, Nigeria, number 5, Kenya, number 6, Morocco being number 7, Tunisia being number 8, Angola being number 9, and Libya being number 10. Meanwhile, despite the huge population that Nigeria has, the country does not feature in the list of the top African countries with the best police force. According to the World Internal Security and Police Index, that is WISPI 2020 report, the list of countries with the best police forces in Africa starts with Botswana, followed by Rwanda, Algeria, Senegal, Tunisia, Egypt, Burkina Faso, Ghana, South Africa, Morocco, Mali, Sudan, Malawi, and the list of 14 ends with Burundi. This goes a long way to really show the extent of the security problems we have, since the Nigerian police force is not listed among the best 14 police forces in Africa. The implication of the foregoing is that the security architecture in Nigeria, which is primarily woven around the military, as the case is today, because the military is also involved in internal security, and the police is weak to address the security challenges in Nigeria. There is therefore a compelling need about significant changes, both in the quality and quality of the Nigerian military and police forces. This need was buttressed during my participation as a stakeholder meeting at the validation version of the at the validation session of the draft National Security Strategy organized by the Office of the National Security Advisor (ONSA) at Transcorp Hill Hotel, Abuja, on May 30, 2019. The National Security Strategy 2014, among other issues, prioritizes human security to liberate herself from the current security challenges. Briefly, I have a section devoted towards security sector reform in Nigeria. And my approach is to say that for us to be able to revamp the current security system we have in Nigeria, we need to rethink the whole enterprise. And I came with this acronym, TRENDY, areas where Nigerian security sector needs urgent reform. Training. The training of the Nigerian security has to be in conformity with what obtains in other parts of the world. It is important that a lot of effort has to be put in training for better efficiency. The performance of the Nigerian police in terms of extortion, human rights abuse, poor distress response is attributable to the training. Without proper training, there will be poor performance. Without proper training, there will be poor performance. It is proper preparation that prevents poor performance. And for the police and security forces, this preparation consists of proper training. Investment has to be best that the country requires. Number two, recruitment. The recruitment process of Nigerians to the military and police forces should be based on merit and integrity. It is not uncommon that due to political influence, shady characters are integrated into the police who eventually tarnish the name of the organization. The same way that banks require collateral from those who borrow money. So those who will be given weapons to see to the protection of life and property of Nigerians should be made to have a sort of collateral. When such persons misbehave when they join the forces, the punishment should go beyond dismissal. Those who endorse them or recommended, those who endorse them or recommended them for recruitment in the first instance should also be named and shamed to the extent to which they knew the individuals responsible. What is being said here is that recruitment into the police and military forces should no longer be an all-comers affair. There should be due diligence in determining the quality of people that will be recruited. And this quality...
Sorry to interrupt you, Prof. Hello? Round up in 2 minutes, sir.
Yes, I want to do that. The third point at this level has to do with equipment, to which success can be achieved in policing and military activities without access to modern and sophisticated equipment. In this regard, government must ensure the adequate provision of latest and modern weapons for the police or equipment for the police and the military so that they'll be able to confront the criminals who reports say are now better armed than the state actors. Number, there is no doubt that there is a gap between the actual number of required personnel and the reality on ground in Nigeria. The number of the Nigerian military is said to be about 371,800 officers and men. The number of the Nigerian police force is said to be 371,800 officers and men, with a planned increase of the force to 650,000. This number, even when increased, is grossly insufficient for a population of 200 million people, in a situation whereby the United Nations recommends one police officer for every 450 citizens. So the next item is D, discipline. Beyond training, discipline is critical to the success and integrity of security personnel in Nigeria. In fact, discipline is the badge of honor on the shoulder of every security officer. So that there is a rising instance of discipline in the police force is well known to many Nigerians. In February this year, the Human Rights Association, HURIWA, had to call a cause conference, which was on the moribund nature of Police Service Commission, escalation of police indiscipline with reference to a case in point in the Enugu Police Command, in which several instances of infraction against citizens' rights were examined at the press conference. So there is no doubt that the question of discipline has to be addressed. And then there is intelligence. I call it intelligence. Within the military and security circles, intelligence is the outcome of processed information. And the information is achieved. Intelligence is achieved through processing information and analyzing information to the extent that it will become usable, useful, actionable in terms of clarity, providing guidance and direction.
Well, you were listening to Associate Professor Mahfouz Adedimeji, who has been talking on the imperatives of revamping the Nigerian security sector. We'll quickly take a short break. When we come back, the program continues.
The question of leadership is a factor in this regard to the success of the fight against the Boko Haram terrorists. And then you look at also the factor of morale.
almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria. This is Television Nigerian, a broadcast network committed to serving you the very best in online and offline television programming. Situated in the serene environment of Guzape, Abuja FCT, TVN, as it is fondly called, caters to a wide variety of audience via carefully orchestrated mind-blowing programs in the areas of fashion, business, politics, entertainment, religion, movies, food and health, culture and lifestyle, events around the globe, sports and foreign news. Whatever your inclination, we've got you completely covered with programs like Issues of the Moment, The Patriot, Daybreak Nigeria, Matter Africa, TVN Business Time, Healthy Living, From the Cradle, Stay Inspired, Entertainment Gist, Movie Hour, Hits Paradise, among others. All designed to keep you thoroughly informed, entertained, at the edge of your seat and yearning for more. A tour around our domain will reveal a highly dedicated staff force and a state-of-the-art facility and equipment for high-definition quality broadcast, making our station your #1 choice in advertising your business and propagating your ideas. We are currently on NightComSat doing our test transmission for takeoff in the nearest future. Television Nigerian is located in Nigeria at Television Nigerian House, Guzape Hilltop Mansion, beside Guzape White House, Guzape Abuja FCT, and in the United Kingdom at 45 Ancient House, 48 Aerodrome Road, Beaufort Park, Colindale, London. For inquiries,
yes, I think we can attribute the upsurge in the insurgency to the COVID virus. That basically the government is having to put resources into medical care, into keeping people safe, and the insurgents have taken advantage of this to try to cause trouble, to impress their paymasters, and to basically take as a preoccupation by the government on other things. Well, the Nigerian military has long had a homegrown strategy for dealing with these insurgencies. You see so many other places with multinational forces don't really know how to root people out by #1, chasing them, but #2, occupying the territory that they've chased them from. So the Nigerian military has done a very good job of trying to put together situations in communities that keep the Boko Haram, that keep any affiliated insurgents from coming back.
Welcome back to the forum. We have been talking on tackling Nigeria's multifaceted security challenges, and Associate Professor Mahfouz Adedimeji has been talking on the imperatives of revamping the Nigerian security sector before we went on that break. Professor Adedimeji, would you, in the next 2 minutes, conclude your presentation, then we can take reactions, please. Okay, while we wait for Professor Adedimeji, I would quickly like to ask Associate Professor Simeon Olaiwola of the Nigerian French Language Village, and also a security expert. Sir, Nigeria has battled insurgency and other forms of criminal, violent crimes in the last 10 years. Why has this continued unabated? What are the mistakes of past administrations?
Well, I think that question is really a question that has a lot of branches. But to be precise, the relapse of insurgency has been the neglect of past administrations in the area of provision for security personnel and the area of taking security issues with all seriousness they require. We've seen a situation whereby past administrations have neglected how to take care of the security personnel on their own, especially the soldiers, the police, and all that. And the most important aspect of it, they neglected completely, and that is making adequate provision for, modern day equipment to fight these insurgencies. And if we look at the a kind of far-reaching causes, who will agree with me that the political undertone of most of these past administrations have really not been encouraging. Most times they were paying lip services into issues that should have been handled with all seriousness, like taking things into the religious realm. And in most cases, you see people who want to take things to the area of tribal sentiment, just to have a kind of unnecessary sympathy from some set of people. And all this put together have really created a lot of problems. So now it's more like the insurgency is becoming part of us. And not only that, you see that even the administrations on their own, they have really not been sincere, because many of them benefited from the rot. Purchase of equipment, many of these administrators will have to go siphon the money to their own personal use and all that. So a lot of funds have been diverted to personal usage. And you can imagine, in this kind of situation, there wouldn't be any progress, because the insurgency we are fighting they are being sponsored. Of course, we all know they are being sponsored by the Western world. And in a lot of cases, it will be difficult to have our own ill-equipped security personnel to face the superior power weapons being used by these insurgents. So precisely, when you look at the administration of our former president, Goodluck Jonathan, a lot of funds were earmarked to fight insurgency, to purchase equipment, and like we were told, we have been seeing such funds were diverted, were shared. So what do you expect? And this has now made it, a kind of tradition whereby people see funds allocated to fight insurgency as something they will just come together and share. And when you have issues like this, definitely there cannot be progress. So, and that is why insurgency has almost become part of our lives. And I'm afraid if nothing drastic is not done,
Olaf, I want to ask you again. How would you appraise the effort of the present government in containing the issues of insecurity in the country?
Yeah, if I have to award marks, of course, I will score the present administration. I will give the present administration a pass mark, because from all indications, we've seen the goodwill, motivation in terms of purchase of equipment and mobilizing soldiers here and there to fight this insurgency. The administration has really tried, but one thing that we should not forget is that when we fight insurgency, you are not fighting a conventional army. You are fighting people like guerrilla war fighters, and these are people who can easily, freeze into the population. You don't know them, they don't have uniform, they just come up anytime. That's why it has been very difficult to just eradicate them at once. But in the real sense of it, one will see that there is goodwill, there is determination to make sure that this insurgency ends under this administration. Though there have been frustrations here and there, which of course are some of the far-reaching effects of the neglect that we have suffered for a long time, even before this particular administration. So on the whole, I'll give it to this administration that they have tried, even if their good is not yet enough that we want, because what we want is to see this insurgency no more. And until we don't see them again, well, many people will say they have not done enough, they have not done well. But I think from our perspective, I can score the administration very well that they have really tried. Because if when this insurgency started, if the way they are fighting it now is the way they were fought, I'm very sure that they wouldn't be able to even exist for more than 2 years. So I think the administration has tried, and they should still keep it up and do more.
Thank you very much, Professor Simeon Olaiwola. I will come back to you, Associate Professor Mahfouz Adedimeji. Are you there with me, sir? Professor Adedimeji?
Yes.
Okay, please. In summary, you are going to sum up your paper, and at the same time, you tell us how can we get out of this mess.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very crucial topic. In summary, I said that there's no doubt about it, that the Nigerian security architecture, the way it is, needs to be revamped. And this intervention will take place at 2 levels, at the level of quality and at the level of quantity. At the level of quality, I said we have to ensure that we prioritize merit. At the level of recruitment, we must ensure that we give our soldiers adequate training. We must see to their welfare. We must see to the purchase of sophisticated and modern equipment. We must see to recapitalizing the old security architecture in terms of intelligence. You know, warfare nowadays is done through intelligence gathering. You know, if your enemy has better intelligence than you do, even regardless, you are going to be ambushed, and that is what we are experiencing. So Boko Haram seems to be having some coordinations with some other foreign non-state actors, and they are ambushing our soldiers. So in terms of quality, a lot has to be done. And I also said that a lot still has to be done at the level of quantity. We need to have more boots on the field. I give you an instance that according to the United Nations, there should be a police officer to every 450 citizens. Now imagine the ratio when you have about 371,000 police officers to a population of about 200 million people. So the number does not just add up. The number is not adequate. The same thing is applicable to the number of our soldiers. The United Nations and the United States is less than 400 million, yet it has about 1.2 million military personnel. Nigeria is over 200 million. That means if we want to have half of what the United Nations military has, we must have at least 600,000 military personnel. Now we have about 170,000. Not to talk of those who are not even active on the battlefield. So at the level of quality, a lot has to be done. At the level of quantity, we have to recruit more people to join the armed forces so as to be able to confront our challenges. And in investing in quality, I especially emphasize on human intelligence. And you cannot gather intelligence without being intelligent. So we have to pay a lot of attention into the recruitment process. Who are those that we recruit into the army? Who are those that we recruit into the police? Are we sure that people who are thugs are not finding their ways into the police force? What do we know about the backgrounds of these people that are killing people indiscriminately just because they have police uniform on their neck? So that is the essence of what I'm saying. And I came with this particular model that I call trendy, I call it, in terms of increasing the capacity of our armed forces, that we have to emphasize training, we have to focus a lot on recruitment, we have to ensure that we provide necessary equipment, we have to ensure that the number is adequate, Then we have to focus on discipline. There's a lot of discipline in the police force. There's a lot of discipline. People collecting bribes, people killing people extrajudicially. We have instances of people now going on a wall. Nigerian soldiers leaving their centers of operation without telling anybody. So, and then we need to focus a lot of attention on intelligence. By the time we do all that, you have more boots on the ground, and you have more quality in the number of boots we'll be able to overcome. Not forgetting the fact that what is called security is all-encompassing. Human security, I like the human security model, where security is not just about fighting, counter-attacking, but security has to do with providing food security, providing sustainable income, economic security, providing a good society in which people can live, social security, providing a stable political order, political security, and providing people with what will make them to be able to function as normal human beings, cultural security, not a situation in which our cultural values are becoming increasingly eroded by the forces of globalization. So I think these are the issues that I want to re-emphasize in my paper. So we have to return to our roots. We have to ensure our cultural security. We have to maintain the fact that our Nigerian values, our traditional values are not eroded by what people see in Western movies, by what people see in games, by what people see in music videos. All these things are eroding our traditional values to the extent that people do not care about morality any longer. All what they care about is how to make money. And the singers, the musicians all glamorize money, and people do not want to care whatever extent they want to go to, as long as they are going to they are going to make money. So when we focus on human security, we realize that national security or physical security is just a component. What makes human security is all encompassing. It takes about 10 or 12 variables for us to be secure as humanity in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Professor Adedimeji, for that submission. And finally, Professor Simeon Olaiwola, I want to ask you a question. How can Nigerians begin to appreciate the members of the armed forces of the country?
I want to start by saying many thanks to Professor Adedimeji, which somebody I've heard a lot about. I've read a lot of beautiful English lessons. And I'm very proud that he's doing great work in my alma mater there, the University of Ilorin. It, of course, is better by far. So many thanks, Prof. Prof has really said a lot of things, and I wouldn't want to go back to those things that he has said. You know, he said that there are about 10 or 12 variables. You know, if we want to have an appreciable security, you have to think about cultural security, social security, economic security, food security, and all that. So he has really said everything. And sincerely, I would love to have an insight into that beautiful paper. It's a pity I was hooked in our laboratory from morning to the evening. So I wasn't able to develop any major point on this issue. But from what Professor Adedimeji has said, to appreciate our security personnel, it has to really come from within. Because security issue is more spiritual than physical. You can't tell a hungry man to go and secure your compound. It's not going to do anything. You can't tell somebody who does not have dignity of labor to secure the environment, not to even talk of securing the whole country. So definitely those variables he mentioned are really what we need. Because when I earn a salary that I know can take care of me, can take care of my family, then why do I need to take bribe? Why do I need to look left and right? I'll go straight to my job and I will discharge my duty as it is expected of me. But when I'm very sure that my salary cannot even take me 1 week, definitely I have to start thinking of how to corners. And that is where you see a lot of security men, they take bribe. Like where I stay, you have a lot of soldiers who are always crossing the semi-border to go and bring in rice when they are supposed to be on at their security post doing one thing or the other to secure the environment. But, many times you see that they have to make ends meet. So when there is no dignity of labor, there cannot be adequate security in the country. So I subscribe to the variables he has mentioned. Let there be, social security, economic security, job security in itself, and let there be adequate remuneration for what security our security operatives do. You don't expect somebody is having a master's degree. You expect that person to be collecting the salary that is not dignified. And when people are being degraded, consciously or unconsciously, you won't get the best from them. So I think the government has to take it in there should be a kind of holistic approach whereby everybody will be treated like a citizen. And when people are treated like citizens, I'm very sure that the nation will be secured at all corners. Thank you very much.
The question of leadership is a factor in this regard to the success of the fight against the Boko Haram terrorists. And then you look at also the factor of morale. The question of leadership is a factor in this regard to the success of the fight against the Boko Haram terrorists. And then you look at also the factor of morale.
The reason that the Nigerian army has been able to stand firm is because Nigeria is either the first or the second economy on the African continent. So there's just a lot of resources available to arm the army and to train them. But still, the insurgents are still able to do those asymmetric attacks that you cannot see coming. Also, the international community has big problems controlling those asymmetric attacks. Well, the Nigerian army has been successful in pushing back the insurgents. We have seen that over the past 10 years, where Boko Haram became smaller and smaller. But they're still able to do attacks which are very deadly. And that's something that's very difficult to control. And there's another thing. It looks like that the insurgents from Syria and from Iraq are coming to the Sahel to rebase themselves here. And there are voices that are planning to form a new caliphate. So those are a few things that the governments of the consecutive countries will have to look into. The sacking of the service chiefs is something that needs to be looked into in the coming period, because something obviously has happened. But there's one thing to keep in mind. If you remove a high person, you're also creating a power vacuum. I believe there's already a lot of trust of the people toward the Nigerian army, because the army has been part of society for a long time. That was during the military days and also during the democratic days. So that trust is there. The only challenge is that still these asymmetric attacks continue, and that puts the army in a negative light. So eventually, I believe that the peace is not going to come through arms. On the other side, There will have to be some kind of dialogue between the warring factions, and it will not be an easy process. Every journey starts with the first step, but at the end of the day it needs to happen to come to the final peace agreement.
The question of leadership is a factor in this regard to the success of the fight against the Boko Haram terrorists. And then you look at also the factor of morale.
Okay, welcome back from that break. I sincerely want to thank Professor Simeon Olaiwola and Associate Professor Bafus Adedimeji for standing by and doing justice to the topic. I must also thank Andrew Franklin, who joined in from Nairobi, Kenya. I understand network has been a problem for him, so his contributions would come later. Finally, Professor Olaiwola, what is your statement? Okay, on that note, this is where we draw the curtain on the forum, the online town hall meeting. We were joined in by Daniel Funard from Nairobi, Kenya. We had Andrew Franklin, also from Nairobi. Professor Simeon Olaiwola and Professor Adedimeji Mafuz also joined in with those very exciting contributions. Until we come your way again with another exciting edition of the Town Hall meeting, please stay with our social media handles, and if you have any questions, contributions, or commentary, please feel free to drop them on our social media handles. My name is Lawrence Aldu. Bye for now.